I have over 2,500 hours on my game, and over all this time, there's one game mode that I've literally never seen anyone play. Hunger Games. Now, if you've never heard of a Hunger Games, it's basically like a battle royale, but for boomers, where everyone starts in the middle, most chests are in the middle, and they refill after some cooldown, and it's last man standing wins. Now, I spent a lot of time making this mode, and I really want to make it fun because it's based on my favorite mode from Minecraft Console Edition. Yeah, I realize these are two completely different games, but how do we fix our Hunger Games? So the first problem is that everyone would die in about 1 minute and the game would end. A big reason for this is the fast movement and the small size of the map. I mean, if you took Fortnite Battle Royale and put it in a map the size of, I don't know, a street, it would end pretty quickly. So our first goal is to make a bigger map. Now previously I would thoroughly plan everything out and draw out a layout, but after making like 12 maps, I can probably just wing this, so I started off making a new base island. And once I had a nice big shape for the map, I started on the actual props and buildings. Now for each map, I tried to have one unique feature, and for the old island map, it's this raised hut. But this hut has one major problem. It looks pretty awful. So after a couple of hours of me mashing my keyboard, I came up with this. It's got a couple of variations and a hole in the bottom, which isn't very realistic, but it makes it a lot easier to get into in-game. And then pretty much I just started spamming buttons to place props. I wanted a couple of distinct areas, and generally with any good map, you wanted to tell a story. Like for example, there's this map called Icebox in Valorant, and it looks like a massive landing craft is invading some military complex. Now, I didn't have a story beforehand, but it started to sort of come together. So on one side, there's this old abandoned tribal area, and then on the other side, there's this new military development that's being built, which I think works pretty well. Now, the trick with making good maps is playtesting it over and over to make sure it looks and feels good, and making sure it goes well with your game's mechanics. So for example, in Paint Warfare, there's a lot of abilities that give you a lot of verticality, so I added these tall cranes that you can swing on, tall buildings to reach, and a lot of open areas so you can build up speed. Then I added some details like this graffiti, and this looked pretty good, and took me under 3 hours, so yeah. Now before we get onto other practical solutions for making the mode play better and have more players, there's one thing that I really wanted to polish, and that's the spectator. See, if you're bad at the game, like me, spectating other players is pretty much what you'll be spending most of your time doing, and previously this just looked absolutely hilariously bad. I wonder who's responsible for making this absolute abomination. My first order of business was to make the hands look similar to how they look in first person, and then I added hand animations for walking, running, idling, and jumping, which use the lateral and vertical speed of the player you're spectating to kind of guess which inputs they're doing, and this looked like 10 times more bearable. Alright, now onto the main problem with Hunger Games, which is that it would constantly sit on 0 players, and this just formed a constant loop because no one wanted to join a game with 0 players. Now, a tactic I use to get all the other maps playtime is I have them in this map rotation at the end of each game, and Hunger Games are not in the map rotation, and this is for a very good reason. See, Hunger Games just repeats itself over and over and over and over and over. So I slapped on a match timer and made it end when there's only one person standing, and so I could finally add it to the map rotation. Now we need to fix people dying too fast. So Paint Warfare has an average time to kill of around half a second for most guns, and 0 seconds for some other guns.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
So it's pretty hard to react to threats. Now in Hunger Games, I want you to survive a bit so you can position yourself and go around the map and collect loot. So I buffed the health from 150 to 500, and I wanted to add some way of regenerating health. So I pretty much just copied the healing thing from the medkit ability, added an icon that you can see through walls, and added these healing zones which heal 25 HP every second. I only added 2 though because I want these to be hotly contested zones. And yeah, after testing with some random players, this plays so much better. Check out the new update now and subscribe for more devlogs. Have an awesome day. Enjoy. Also, just a random editor's note, but just watching everyone play the new updates and like how well it came together just made me so happy. So I'm so thankful for you guys. Enjoy the update.